This is 8.7b of algebra. So we've talked about difference of squares before in lesson 8.4 when we took this and changed it into this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to factor it. So we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with this and go to this. So here's our general form of what's going to happen. And here's an example to look at, or two examples rather. But let's try it on our own and I'll explain it there a little bit more. Okay, so this was the whole a squared minus b squared thing, and we factored into a plus b and a minus b. Okay, so first thing you should do is write both things as something squared. In this case, the first one's already squared, right? V squared. How do I write 10 or 100 as something squared? Gave it away there. 10 squared is 100. Okay, now if it helps you to match it up with the a squared minus b squared, you can. So in this case, our a is v and our b is 10. So then we factor it into a plus b, so v plus 10, and a minus b, so v minus 10. If you were to distribute this or to do the table version or to use FOIL, you're going to get back to this same answer because you'll have a negative 10v and you'll have a positive 10v, and negative 10 plus 10 is 0. So let's look at the second one. We rewrite it as something squared. So s squared minus, well, what squared is 16? Well, that's 4 squared. So again, if you need to match it up. If you don't need to, no need to then. So in this case, our a is s and our b is 4. We put it into a plus b, so s plus 4, and a minus b, so s minus 4. Doesn't matter which parenthesis goes first. You could start with the s minus 4 and then do the s plus 4. Since it's multiplying, it doesn't matter which parenthesis comes first. Okay, now we're going to do another one. This one's going to be a little bit trickier though. So we've got 25d squared minus 64. So same process, it's just a little bit more work. We need to rewrite this as something squared. Okay, so in this case, when there's a number and a letter, we're going to have some parentheses involved. So how do I get that 25? What squared is 25? Well, that's 5. And then to get the d squared, I just need d, right? If you remember with exponents, we write them in, so that would turn into 5 squared, d squared, and 5 squared is 25. So that would get us what we need. Minus, and how do I rewrite 64 as something squared? Well, that's 8 squared. So again, if you need to match it up, match it up. Right, so in this case, my a is 5d, and my b is 8. Remember, I put into a plus b, a minus b. So 5d plus 8, 5d minus 8. Let's try one more of these. So let's say we have 36x squared minus 81. So I need to rewrite it as something squared. I need parentheses in my first one. So how do I get 36? Well, that's 6 squared. How do I get x squared? Well, that's just x squared, right? Again, if you're not sure if you got that front part right, feel free to distribute the 2 back in and figure it out. Minus, and then 9 squared gives us 81. So if I match up the a squared minus b squared, I get that a is 6x and b is 9. A plus b, so that's 6x plus 9. And a minus b, so that's 6x minus 9. And that'd be our answer. Lastly, sometimes we have one of these that will work, but we need to factor something out first. So let's just do a here. What we're going to do is we're going to factor out the greatest common factor, right? So we're going to see what we can factor out. If you right off the top of your head know what needs to come out, do that. Otherwise, we can split it up like we've done before. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, right? Because 12 is 4 times 3, and this splits up 4. And I've got 2t's minus To get 48, I need to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So, in this case, I can take 2 2's and 1 3. 2 times 2 times 3, well, that's just going to be 12. So I'm left with t squared, right? I've got 2 t's here. Minus, I'm left with 2 2's. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I'm going to leave that 12 up front and not worry about him. And I'm going to factor this inside, okay? T squared minus 4, well, that's a squared minus b squared, right? So in this case, a is t and b is going to be 2, right? Because this is t squared minus 2 squared. So I'm going to have a plus b and a minus b. If you get the end and you're not sure if you did it right, feel free to multiply it in and all that and see if you get back to this problem. And there's your homework.